Before we dive into this latest sci-fi epic, drop a quick hi in the comments. It may seem small, but trust me, it really helps YouTube share this story with more sci fans like us. I'd love to see who's watching.
The darkness of space had always held mysteries that both terrified and fascinated those who dared to gaze upon it. For millennia, civilizations had looked to the heavens and dreamed of what lay beyond, yet few ever imagined that hope and salvation would come in the form of a desperate signal transmitted across the void. In the distant reaches of the galaxy, far beyond the familiar stars, a coalition known as the Triarch Pact fought for its very survival. This alliance, formed by three distinct races united by a common destiny, now faced a relentless enemy: the Zenith Dominion, an empire whose ambition and cruelty were matched only by its formidable technology. Aboard the flagship Aurora of the Triarch Pact, Ambassador Michael Reed paced the bridge with heavy steps. The corridors pulsed with the low hum of the ship's power systems and the anxious whispers of officers and aides. Every screen displayed stark images of damaged vessels and failing defenses. The Dominion's onslaught had scarred every corner of their fleet, and Michael knew that each second lost could spell further extinction. With measured resolve, he advanced toward the central console, where a holographic display illuminated the urgency of their plight. "Begin final protocols," Michael commanded in a voice both steady and laden with quiet desperation. "We have one last chance to be heard. Encode every piece of intelligence, the Dominion's weapon systems, our strategic coordinates, and our vulnerabilities. This transmission must convey the full truth of our struggle." His words were more than orders. They were a plea to the far reaches of the unknown. Technicians moved swiftly, their fingers dancing over illuminated panels as they compiled every shred of data into a secure transmission package. Amid the controlled chaos, one officer's voice broke through. "Signal encryption complete, Ambassador. The message is ready." Michael paused, regarding the pulsating blue indicator on the console that marked their final hope. "Then launch it," he said, as though addressing fate itself. "Let every star bear witness to our suffering and our plea for aid." At that very moment, somewhere 217 light-years away from the embattled fleets of the Pact, a lone observatory orbited a gas giant in a system long deemed barren. Luna Station, a sprawling deep space research facility renowned for its advanced sensors, had long been a quiet sentinel among the stars. Commander David Wilson, tasked with monitoring routine scans, was startled when a structured pattern flickered onto his primary screen. It was unlike natural background radiation or sporadic pulsar signals. This was deliberate, a pattern signal bearing the unmistakable signature of intelligent origin. "This is no random anomaly," David murmured as he leaned forward to scrutinize the cascading data. His technician, a young analyst with unbridled passion for the unknown, replied with barely contained excitement. "Commander, the transmission structure is highly sophisticated. The embedded coordinates point deep into uncharted space. We may be witnessing the first direct communication from another civilization, and not just any, but one in dire distress." David's heart pounded with the realization that decades of searching for extraterrestrial intelligence had yielded a definitive call for help. "Alert the United Earth Council immediately," he instructed. "This message is our call to the stars, and we must answer it." Back on Earth, in a grand chamber of polished metal and softly glowing screens at the United Earth Council's Central Command, representatives from science, defense, and diplomacy had gathered. The room buzzed with tension as the weight of history pressed upon them. Counselor Martinez, known for his balanced judgment, addressed the assembly gravely. "Ladies and gentlemen, the signal is unequivocal. We have been contacted by an intelligent civilization, and their message is one of desperation. Their survival hangs in the balance. Although interstellar intervention carries immense risk, to ignore their plea would be a moral failing of our highest order." General Harper, a veteran strategist, rose to add, "Intervention in an alien conflict is fraught with uncertainties. We must consider that involvement here could entangle us in a war far beyond our control. Yet, turning a deaf ear to the suffering of fellow sentient beings is a price our conscience cannot bear." After hours of impassioned debate and careful analysis, a consensus emerged. The Council would dispatch an expedition, a specially designated Task Force Liberty, to investigate and, if necessary, render assistance. At its helm was Admiral Sarah Carter, celebrated for her strategic brilliance and unorthodox methods that had turned the tide in battles once thought lost. Standing before her assembled crew, Admiral Carter's voice rang out with resolute authority. Today, we embark on a mission that may redefine our place in the galaxy. We will travel to the coordinates embedded in that distress call, assess the situation, and, should the evidence demand it, offer our aid. We act not as conquerors but as fellow beings who cannot stand idly by while injustice consumes another world. Thus, with a mix of hope and trepidation, Task Force Liberty began its journey. Aboard the flagship Pathfinder, engineers, scientists, and warriors moved in synchronized purpose through vast corridors humming with the energy of imminent change. The starship, sleek and formidable, sliced through the cosmic dark like a spear, its course fixed on the distress signal's coordinates. In the observation deck, Admiral Carter stood before a panoramic window, her eyes absorbing the silent majesty of nebulae and clusters of distant suns. Every passing celestial body reminded her of both the beauty and the perils that lay in the universe. A young navigator's measured voice broke the reflective silence. "Admiral, our sensors detect multiple energy signatures ahead. It appears we are approaching a zone of active conflict." Carter's gaze sharpened. "Maintain current speed and course. We must proceed with extreme caution. Our mission is to assist, not inflame the conflict further. Every life, every world, is worth preserving." With that, the Pathfinder pressed forward into the growing storm of battle. As the ship neared the conflict zone, the atmosphere aboard shifted from calm determination to palpable tension. The command center lit up with live data feeds, revealing a battlefield where chaos reigned. Amid swirling debris and streams of energy weapon fire, the battered fleet of the Triarch Pact struggled valiantly against the overwhelming might of the Zenith Dominion. The Dominion's warships, massive and ominous, moved with terrifying precision, their formations tight and their firepower relentless. On the bridge of a Triarch fighter, a veteran pilot known only as Orin maneuvered through a hail of enemy fire. His voice, transmitted over comms, resonated with defiance. "All units, hold formation. Though we are outnumbered, let our resolve never waver. Remember, the lives of our people depend on every maneuver, every sacrifice." His cry echoed across the ranks, bolstering the spirits of those fighting against insurmountable odds. Then, as if fate itself intervened, the unmistakable signal of hope arrived. The Pathfinder burst from the darkness like a comet of promise, its arrival triggering a flurry of activity across enemy sensors. Admiral Carter's authoritative voice cut through the static. "This is Admiral Sarah Carter of Task Force Liberty. We come bearing a message of peace and the strength to aid you. Stand down hostilities and allow us to join your fight against the Zenith Dominion." For a brief moment, silence reigned as friend and foe alike processed this unexpected intervention. Within the Pathfinder's command center, officers coordinated a bold response. A young lieutenant, steady on the controls, reported, "Admiral, our first wave of EMP pulses is primed and ready. Disabling their communications even momentarily could create the window we need for a decisive strike." Carter nodded, her eyes never leaving the unfolding chaos beyond the viewport. "Proceed with the sequence. Let our actions testify to our commitment to this alliance." The ensuing moments became a whirlwind of orchestrated maneuvers. Human fighters and Triarch craft began to operate in concert against the Dominion's rigid formations. EMP pulses rippled through space, disrupting enemy communication channels and sending shockwaves through their ranks. Meanwhile, precision strikes from agile human ships targeted critical nodes within the enemy's command structure. In the midst of this orchestrated chaos, voices from both sides, now united in purpose, blended into a single anthem of hope and defiance. Over the comm channel, Orin's voice rang clear once more. "We stand together now, as one united force. Let human ingenuity and Triarch resilience shatter their lines. Fight for your homes, for your future, His stirring words resonated with every soldier and pilot committed to the fight. The Dominion's warships, designed for sheer brute force, began to falter under the unpredictable, fluid tactics of the Allied fleet. Slowly, the once invincible tide turned. In a critical moment illuminated by bursts of plasma fire, a human fighter deftly disabled the Dominion's flagship. This daring maneuver opened a corridor for a fleet of Triarch vessels, which surged forward to break the enemy's defensive perimeter. Faced with disorganized retreat and mounting panic, the Dominion's once formidable armada was forced back. For the first time in many long hours, the oppressive force of the Zenith Dominion wavered under the combined might of humanity and the Triarch Pact. In the smoky aftermath of the battle, where fragments of shattered warships drifted silently among the stars, a tentative calm settled over the field. Survivors from the Triarch Pact gathered near the wreckage of their flagship, their expressions mingling grief for lost comrades with relief for the hard-won victory. Ambassador Michael Reed, his uniform marked by the scars of battle, stepped forward to address the assembly. Today, you have shown that even in our darkest hour, hope can be ignited by the courage to resist despair. Your bravery has preserved our lives and given us a chance to rebuild, a chance to forge a future free from tyranny. Beside him, Admiral Carter offered a compassionate smile as she surveyed the weary faces before her. We have come together as allies, as brothers and sisters in arms. Let this day mark the beginning of a new era, one defined by unity and mutual respect among all sentient beings. The Echo Accord we now sign is not merely a treaty. It is a living testament to the power of cooperation and the resilience of hope. In a quiet, solemn ceremony aboard the Pathfinder, emissaries from the Triarch Pact and representatives of the United Earth Council affixed their seals to the Accord, pledging to rebuild not only shattered fleets and ravaged worlds but also the spirit of a galaxy united against oppression. Long before the call for help echoed across the stars, the seeds of the Triarch Pact had been sown in the crucible of shared hardship. Each of the three species that formed the alliance hailed from worlds vastly different in culture and history. The Avalorians, with their crystalline cities and deep reverence for knowledge, prized wisdom and art above all. Their graceful, almost ethereal ways belied a fierce determination to protect life and tradition. The Draxians, hardy and resolute, came from rugged, storm-lashed planets where survival demanded strength and unity. Their society was built on the principles of honor and sacrifice, having weathered countless trials. Lastly, the Zephyrians, mysterious and fluid as the winds over their oceanic home, cherished freedom and adaptability. Their decentralized governance belied a loyalty to one another that was unbreakable. In the midst of the existential threat posed by the Zenith Dominion's unrelenting expansion, these disparate cultures discovered common ground. Old rivalries and misunderstandings were set aside as they recognized that only together could they hope to withstand the onslaught. In whispered councils beneath starlit skies and in the quiet corridors of ancient temples, the leaders of these worlds forged a pact that would bind them for generations. The Triarch Pact was more than a military alliance. It was a promise that the light of diverse cultures could unite to overcome even the darkest times. Yet, as victory edged closer, the cost of battle weighed heavily on all involved. Across star systems, families grieved for lost loved ones, and communities struggled to mend the wounds inflicted by relentless conflict. In quiet moments of reflection, even the hardened warriors felt the sting of sacrifice. Ambassador Reed, wandering the corridors of the now-repaired Aurora, allowed himself a moment of vulnerability in the solitude of his private quarters. "Every life lost is a universe diminished," he murmured. "But in their sacrifice lies our hope, our determination to build a future where no cry for help goes unanswered." For Admiral Carter, the burden of command brought its own sorrow. Late at night, as she reviewed battle reports in the solitude of her cabin, she thought of the families back on Earth, of those who had placed their trust in humanity's resolve. "This is not merely a campaign of war," she reflected. "It is the struggle for the very soul of our civilization. We fight so that future generations may inherit a world where unity triumphs over division." With each recollection, her resolve hardened, fueling a determination to honor the sacrifices of the past by building a lasting legacy of peace. In the weeks following the signing of the Echo Accord, the galaxy began to stir with the promise of renewal. Across systems, once dormant trade routes were revived and cultural exchanges blossomed like spring after a long winter. The Allied forces, now a tapestry of diverse traditions and advanced technologies, began to integrate their knowledge and skills. Joint research initiatives delved into ancient Avalorian texts, Draxian engineering marvels, and Zephyrian navigational lore, sparking a renaissance of innovation that promised to reshape interstellar society. In vibrant cultural centers orbiting neutral worlds, people from every background gathered to share their histories, art, and dreams. Festivals were held where the melodic strains of Avalorian lyres blended with the rhythmic drumbeats of Draxian war songs and the haunting chants of Zephyrian minstrels. As these celebrations unfolded, the scars of war slowly began to fade, replaced by the vibrant colors of reconciliation and hope. A new generation emerged, one that recognized no boundaries of species or origin, only the shared language of compassion and mutual respect. Commander David Wilson, the first to witness that desperate signal, spent long hours at Luna Station, which had transformed into a hub of interstellar diplomacy and research. Late one evening, beneath the soft glow of distant celestial bodies, he recorded his thoughts for posterity. In the darkest hours, a single spark of hope can ignite a revolution of unity, he wrote. The distress call we received was not merely a cry for help. It was a summons to action, a reminder that our differences are not barriers but bridges to understanding. May future generations remember that in coming together, we found the strength to overcome even the most insurmountable challenges. His reflections echoed in the halls of academies and diplomatic summits across the Allied worlds. Students, scholars, and leaders from every corner of the newly unified galaxy cited his words as a beacon, guiding them toward a future where cooperation reigned supreme. As months turned into years, the legacy of the Echo Accord grew ever more influential. The Zenith Dominion, though not entirely vanquished, had been forced into a cautious retreat, its ambitions curtailed by the unpredictable strength of a united alliance. New threats would always loom in the vast cosmos, but the memory of that historic battle, and the bonds forged in its fires, became a touchstone for all who valued freedom and unity. In ceremonies held at ancient monuments and new capitals alike, the story of the alliance was recounted. Elders spoke of the valor of Triarch fighters, the unyielding resolve of human soldiers, and the sacrifices made by every individual who had stood against tyranny. In quiet moments of remembrance, survivors shared stories of loss and triumph, ensuring that the lessons of the past would never be forgotten. The Echo Accord itself became a living document, a symbol not only of victory over oppression but also of the enduring promise that no civilization, however isolated or embattled, would ever again face its darkest hour alone. It was celebrated in art, literature, and even in the very architecture of the interstellar capital cities, where grand halls and reflective spaces honored both those lost and the hope that had united them. On a crisp morning that carried the promise of renewal, Admiral Carter addressed a vast assembly in the capital of the United Earth Council. With the newly erected monument to the Echo Accord towering behind her, she recounted the journey that had transformed humanity's role in the galaxy. We ventured into the darkness not merely to fight, but to discover that in our shared struggles lay the seeds of a brighter tomorrow, she declared, her voice resonant with hope and determination. Today, we stand united, not as conquerors, but as partners in a grand experiment of peace and cooperation. Let our legacy be one of resilience, compassion, and the unwavering belief that together, we can overcome any obstacle. Her words were met with resounding applause, a powerful affirmation of a new chapter in galactic history. As the crowd dispersed into the luminous corridors of the interstellar capital, the promise of unity echoed in every heart, a reminder that the future was a tapestry woven from the threads of shared dreams and sacrifices. In the quiet moments before dawn, when countless stars shimmered like scattered jewels across a velvet sky, individuals across the Allied systems found solace in reflection. Ambassador Reed, now a revered elder in his rebuilt world, often strolled the corridors of his flagship, pondering the journey from despair to hope. We once sent our final message into the void, believing it might be our last act of desperation, he would whisper to those seeking wisdom. Yet that act became the spark that ignited a revolution of hearts and minds that taught us the true meaning of unity. The journey, as endless as the stars themselves, continued to inspire new generations. In distant academies and bustling marketplaces, the tale of the Echo Accord was recounted not as a legend of war but as a testament to the transformative power of solidarity. Explorers charted unknown territories, and scientists uncovered secrets hidden in the fabric of space-time, all guided by the beacon of unity forged in the crucible of conflict. In the years that followed, as the alliances solidified and old wounds slowly healed, the galaxy entered an era marked by a determined quest for renewal. Across planets and star systems, reconstruction efforts began in earnest. Entire cities that had once been ravaged by the Dominion's advance were rebuilt with innovative designs that celebrated both their cultural heritage and the promise of modern collaboration. On the planet of Aloria, citizens gathered in the rebuilt Grand Archive, a vast structure of shimmering crystal and interlaced light, to witness the unveiling of a memorial dedicated to those lost during the conflict. Among the crowd stood Lyris, a young Avalorian scholar, whose eyes glistened with both sorrow and hope. In her address to the assembled community, she spoke of a future where knowledge and compassion would light the way. Let these ruins remind us of our past, but let our rebuilt halls and open hearts point us toward a tomorrow where the unity of our cultures creates beauty out of even the deepest scars. Her words resonated deeply, inspiring artists, engineers, and poets to work side by side in rebuilding a society that celebrated diversity and mutual respect. Across the Draxian world of Koroth, massive construction projects united communities. Former battlefields were transformed into fertile fields and communal centers, where families and neighbors collaborated to cultivate not only the land but also enduring bonds of friendship. In these efforts, the memory of war was honored through symbols of growth and rebirth, a living testament to the resilience of the human and non-human spirit. Diplomatic envoys from every corner of the allied galaxy convened in the Celestial Convergence, a monumental summit held on a neutral space station orbiting a vibrant blue star. Here, leaders from the United Earth Council, the Triarch Pact, and even representatives from smaller, once-isolated systems gathered to chart a new course for interstellar cooperation. Over days filled with spirited debate, shared visions, and the forging of new treaties, the foundation was laid for an integrated galactic community. Ambassador Joran of Earth and Chancellor Thalrin of the Zephyrians spent long hours negotiating policies on trade, technology sharing, and cultural exchange. In a quiet moment during a break in the summit, Joran confided, "Our differences, once a source of division, are now our greatest strength. Each perspective enriches us, and together, we build bridges that no enemy can ever tear down." Thalrin nodded in solemn agreement, his voice echoing with the wisdom of centuries. Unity is not the absence of conflict, but the courage to overcome it, hand in hand, as one people of the stars. The agreements reached at the convergence led to the establishment of joint research centers, common defense protocols, and educational exchanges that brought together the best minds of every culture. Over time, these initiatives transformed the once fractured galaxy into a vibrant network of interdependent civilizations, united by a shared destiny. Yet, the road toward integration was not without its trials. As new challenges arose, ranging from remnants of Dominion loyalists to unforeseen cosmic phenomena, the fledgling alliance faced tests that threatened to fracture the delicate bonds they had worked so hard to forge. In the outer sectors, where communication was sparse and old rivalries lingered like shadows, skirmishes flared up, demanding swift and decisive action from the united forces. It was during one such crisis on the frontier world of Noraxis that the true strength of the alliance was put to the test. A rogue faction, determined to reclaim past grievances, launched an attack that threatened not only the peace of Noraxis but the integrity of the alliance itself. In a dramatic confrontation on a windswept plateau beneath a turbulent sky, Commander Rhea, a seasoned officer of the unified fleet, led her mixed team of human and Triarch soldiers into battle. Amid the chaos, Rhea's voice rang out over the comms. "Stand firm. Remember, we fight not for conquest, but for the promise of a united future." Let our combined strength be the shield that protects every home, every heart. In that fierce engagement, acts of valor and sacrifice abounded. Soldiers from disparate worlds fought shoulder to shoulder, their collective courage turning the tide against the insurgents. When the dust finally settled, the unity of the alliance had prevailed, its members emerging not only victorious but more committed than ever to nurturing the bonds that held them together. In the aftermath of the Noraxis crisis, preparations began for the Grand Celestial Summit, a follow-up to the initial convergence that would bring renewed focus to rebuilding trust and expanding cooperation across the galaxy. The summit was held on the luminous orbital city of Liberty Prime, a marvel of engineering that symbolized the fusion of diverse cultures and technologies. Over the course of several weeks, delegates engaged in workshops, cultural exhibitions, and strategic planning sessions designed to address lingering challenges and set the agenda for future cooperation. In one memorable session, a veteran diplomat recounted the struggles of earlier days and the hard-won lessons learned through adversity. "Our past is a mosaic of pain and perseverance," she declared, "but it is also the foundation upon which we build a future where every voice is heard and every culture respected." Her words ignited a fervor among the attendees, who left the summit with a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to ensuring that unity would remain at the heart of their shared destiny. The Celestial Summit not only solidified existing treaties, but also spurred the creation of new initiatives aimed at further integrating the Alliance's member worlds. Projects ranged from interstellar infrastructure networks to joint scientific endeavors, each one reinforcing the belief that the strength of the galaxy lay in its diversity and the unbreakable bonds of unity. As decades passed and the once fractured galaxy matured into a vibrant community of interwoven cultures, the story of the Echo Accord and the struggle for unity became a timeless legend. In quiet libraries and bustling public squares, the tale was recounted to inspire new generations. Ambassador Michael Reed's final message, once transmitted in a moment of desperate hope, was preserved in holographic archives and revered as a sacred testament to the power of collaboration. In one final public address, delivered by a now-elder Admiral Ryan Carter at a memorial dedicated to the sacrifices made during the war, she reflected on the journey that had transformed the galaxy. "We embarked on a perilous voyage into darkness," she said, her voice soft yet resolute, "and discovered that even the smallest spark of hope can ignite a blaze of unity that illuminates the universe. Let our legacy be that we dared to reach out, to stand together, and to build a future where no civilization is ever alone." Her words resonated across star systems, echoing through the halls of academia, the chambers of governments, and the hearts of every citizen of the new galactic community. The final testament of the Alliance was not merely a document of treaties and accords. It was a living chronicle of humanity's capacity to overcome adversity through compassion, courage, and an unyielding commitment to unity. In the unfolding tapestry of cosmic history, Echoes of the Expanse stands as a testament to the enduring spirit of those who dared to dream of a better tomorrow. From the desperate final transmission sent in the face of annihilation to the forging of an alliance that reshaped the political landscape of the galaxy, every moment of sacrifice, every act of valor, and every embrace of unity has contributed to the legacy that now illuminates the cosmos. As the galaxy continues its eternal dance of creation and rebirth, the bonds forged in the crucible of conflict remind us that even the deepest shadows can be overcome by the light of hope. In every corner of this vast universe, in every whispered memory of struggle and triumph, the promise endures that together we can build a future where unity is not just an ideal, but a living reality, a future that shines as brightly as the stars above. May the echoes of that fateful day forever guide us, and may every generation find the courage to reach out across the void, knowing that in unity there is strength, and in hope, the power to change the destiny of the cosmos.